Hello, 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 guys! It is Andy Sanders, the one and the only, and today we are going to be doing some fantastic drawings. So I hope you guys are all there and ready to join me. We're going to be starting very shortly. It is astronauts, spaceships and planets that we're going to be drawing today. I'll need you guys to make sure that you have brought your very best pencils, your very best paper, and perhaps even a pen or two for a bit of drawing. There's one or two other things that can help us today, and so I'm going to tell you what they are now. And then you can go and turn around to your mum and dad or whoever's around, big brother, big sister, whatever, and you guys can say, hey, mum, dad, I really need something to help me do some fantastic drawings. What I will need you to do, if you're watching this, you will need to ask your mum or dad to go and get you something that is around about the same size as this, a plate or a little bowl, a little side plate or whatever you eat your cereal out of on a morning. Doesn't want to be too big, not a big full dinner plate, but a little bowl. So we need one of those. We also need to make sure that we have got a smaller round glass. Now this one here, this one is a glass that is probably the tiniest sort of glass you can get. But both of these are going to help us drawing planets. So a little bit of advice now. Turn around to your mum and dad and say, Mum, Dad, I need to get a bowl and I need to get a plate. And it's for my art, Mum and Dad. It's for my art. And if you do that with your hands as you say it, then they can't say no officially. They have to say, yes, of course, we'll go and get you a plate to help you with your drawings. So I will be reminding people of that as they come on because we're doing a live stream. I'll talk very quickly about some of the exciting things about this. This builds on what we did last week, because last week we were looking at how to do aliens. Woohoo! That was good fun. I really enjoyed doing that with you guys. But this week, alien spaceships and planets, because the two go together. And it means that you'll be able to put some fantastic looking aliens into your spaceships. And it means that you'll be able to do some lovely planets for them to all live and inhabit too. So what I will say to you guys is that you need to get your paper out now. Oh, hey, I recognise you guys from last week. Woo. Hey, I can see we've got some people watching. Hi there, Lisa. Hello, Rebecca Sanders and Tom Sanders. Nice to see you guys too. We're going to get started. And what I want to do with you guys first is to show you how to draw a moon. Now that sounds really simple, but actually there's a way to make it look super duper fantastic. So we're going to start off with this, and I'm going to show you how to make it look really, really good. This is where it is handy if you have said to your mum or dad, hey mum or dad, please can you just grab me a cup? This is where it comes in handy. If you're using a pencil, this next bit is best done really gently and lightly. And if you're using a pen, it can help to do it in pencil first, just to make things a little bit better. Oh, hi there, Thomas from Cambridgeshire. Nice to meet you, buddy. Hi, Vicky. Thank you for saying hello too. And what you do, guys, you get your glass and very gently, just this is in the top of the page, so I'm doing it in the top corner. We're going to do a little circle like this, okay? I'm drawing gently, 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 just so I've got a really rough guide all the way around my glass. And like I said to you, that's very handy. For those of you just joining us, I was saying it's also going to be very handy to have a bowl, the can that you eat your cereal out of, something like that. That's going to come in super duper handy later on too. Now, the reason that we've done this, and we've done it lightly, is so that we can then go over it in pen. Now, if you only have a pen today, that's okay. Doesn't matter. It's okay. We're actually going to now use our pen, and we're going to give it a nice chunky outline. If you've only got a pencil, that's cool. Doesn't matter. Just press much, much harder this time. And we're going to go around it like this. And part of the fun things about doing rocky planets is that your circle doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it sometimes looks a bit better for having a slightly bumpy edge, because it makes it look like the moon has been hit by asteroids and things, and it's not perfectly circular anymore. So don't worry if your moon, like mine here, is a little bit bumpy. That's okay. That'll make it look even better. So we have a moon. I can't say hi to everyone, guys, but it's lovely to see all these messages coming in. It really makes my day. So hi from Sebastian Bridge. Hi, Sebastian. That's nice, at Woolton Hill, Newbury. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to have that nice big chunky outline. That's going to get us started for our moon. And you might think, oh, moons are easy. They're dead simple to do. Well, no, because there's actually a trick to doing them. And you guys might remember this from last week. When I last spoke to you folks, I gave you some tips about how to do alien antennas so that they looked super nifty, okay? And what I said was to make it look like a really cool alien antenna, and I'm just jumping this to one side to show you what I mean. To make it look like a cool alien antenna, what we did was we drew a circle, something like this, and you guys don't have to do this now, I'm just using it to explain. And that's the kind of thing that will go, say, on an alien's head, all right? You might remember that I said to you, to make it look 3D as an alien antenna, what we do is we find, opposite the little sprongly bit that joins up, we draw these circles like this, and that would make it look like it's got a little bit of three-dimensional depth to it, okay? Makes it look like a ball. Well, similar thing with this, but this is the cool thing about moons. When we do our moons, we're going to do something similar, but we're not going to do it as perfect lines. Instead, what I want you guys to do here, we are going to see about putting craters on and putting some lines that trace all the way across and make it look and feel 3D. So somewhere near the middle of our moon, we're going to put a big crater on, okay? Doesn't have to be perfectly in the centre. In fact, sometimes it's nice to put that round circle on just slightly to one side. Okay, a little bit too high or a little bit too low, either is good. And then when we put on other craters too, you can add them. Don't add too many, don't do overkill. But this one over here that we're going to draw on, that won't be a perfectly round circle. And the reason is it's on a ball. And that means that the same sort of shape, if an asteroid really had smacked into the side of this asteroid, into the side of this moon here, it would go pew, pow, like that, and bits would fly off. But it would leave what looks like an ellipse over here on the side. I'm going to put a couple more on. I'm going to put another one over here near the edge. Again, I'm squidging it, and every time I put one near the edge, I've got to make sure that my ellipse looks like it's squashed up against that edge, okay? So it's got to be an ellipse that follows the line there, like that, okay? So it's an ellipse the right way. I'll maybe put a little bit of a smaller crater here near the top. That's a bit more in the middle, so it's going to be a bit more like that. And maybe just another one down here as well. Again, a bit further away from the edge. So it's not going to be quite as thin as this one. It's not going to be as round as that one. Something in between, perhaps. A bit more like that, okay? Now, those are our craters. But we want to make them look super duper believable, guys. And so we want it to look like they have got a little bit of a ridge and a bump to them. The way we do that is by drawing some extra circles round. But when asteroids hit, they don't always leave a perfect circular mark. So instead, you can start to draw around and then just leave a little gap. And you can do the same over here. So we're doing a bigger circle around. I might even stop halfway for this one, leave a little gap, and not drawing them up as a perfect circle, but there we go. Okay, so it's almost an extra circle, but not quite. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not going to join it up, I'll stop there. Occasionally, if you want to, and it doesn't matter if you go wrong, if you forget to stop and you join it completely up, that's okay, that looks fine. I just think it always looks best if you do a mixture. So some of them you join up and some of them you don't. Okay, now, the 3D effect I was talking about, the thing when we did it last week with the alien sprung diddlers, or antenna, whatever you want to call them. By the way, that was an awesome session. We had some fantastic aliens last week. If you're sitting here wondering what to do after this session is over, go back and look at last week's session and learn how to draw fantastic aliens. What we'll do now is see about adding some of the effect to make it look 3D. And watch this. If you guys want to make it look like it's a 3D object, we don't just draw a straight line all the way across our moon. And it's not going to be perfectly curvy either, because this moon wants to look a little bit ragged. So instead, what we do, I'm going to do a curve that's going to go all the way around here, but it's going to be a little bit ziggy-zaggy. So it's kind of curved. You can see it's not a perfectly straight, smooth line. It's just like I've taken my pen for a walk. He's a little ant that's getting lost, going, do I go over here? No, down here. How about this way? Oh, no, down. And he gets all the way to the end. That's what I would like you guys to do. And you can put two lines on that do that. One that goes there, and maybe one just on the other side, somewhere over here, this time on the left. A little bit of a smaller one, but it's not going to go all the way back down to where this one is. He's going to just go around like that, okay? And it starts to make your moon look properly 3D. Now, there's a few other nifty little tricks that you can do here to make it look really cool as well. Remember that some of these little craters we've got, they've got some spaces, some little gaps here. Well, that's because we're going to join these up. We're going to do a very similar thing. Let our pen go a little bit winky wonky, what, wibbly wobbly, what, bonk. And then he joins up there. Okay, same over here. I'm maybe going to join up this one over here. Sometimes it's even fun to just chase another little line. So going alongside that one, then we lose interest. And join up over there. Okay, so there's no set rules as to how you do this bit. You don't have to take every single little open gap that you've got there. Like I might leave that one free, but I might do another one over here somewhere that just whiffles off over there like that. Okay, if you want to, you can add a few extra little lines here that maybe come and sort of follow, go along near the other lines, and then go away again. That's cool. Don't do too many. You can even have them so they trace over, sorry, they go over another line like that. But there you go. That is a really nice, easy way to do a moon. And I know, because I'm a grown up and I can buy all the pens that I want. I have done a really fat outline on my moon with this sort of a big brush pen. And I've done the details with this tiny little thin pen, okay? But I always think that moons look best with a nice big chunky outline. So if you have the time later on, whether you've done it in pencil or whether you've done it in pen, go back afterwards and just add an extra little bit of a stroke here to your moon to make him look that wee bit fatter, okay? You can even make him look that little bit more jaggedy if you want. But first off, that is how you do a moon, okay? And you can do that to your heart's content. You can do all sorts of moons. When you come to shade it in, you can do it one of two ways. You can use a pencil. You can use felt tips. What I sometimes like to do is say colour in sections. So I might do this one in a dark grey and like a different bit in a light grey. That's kind of fun too. So some bits are dark grey, some bits are lighter grey. That's fine. The other way you can do it, I won't show you today because it takes a wee bit longer. You can start doing a little circle. It's quite tricky, but I'll just explain how you can do it. It's to make it look like it's got shading coming from one side. You basically colour him in and leave a little bit colour, say that, leave that bit white and the rest of it in grey, okay, and then make one side darker. It's a tricky way of doing things, and I will do a whole tutorial on that at another time, but for today, that's our moon. Okay, so first off, that's pretty easy. I think we're going to need something to fly past though, something that's maybe going to look pretty nifty in the sky, and for that we'll need spaceships. So I think today we'll have a look at doing a couple of fun things. We've got flying saucers and we've got great big rocket-like spaceships too. We'll have a look at doing both. We'll keep it nice and simple. The first one we'll do will be the UFO, the flying saucer. Okay. So over here to one side, I'm now going to add my spacecraft. The easiest way to do this, guys, is to remember that we're going to be drawing something round, but it needs to be a little bit squidged. And there's a trick to it as well. What I'm going to do, just watch this before you put your pen on the paper. What I'm going to do is start off drawing my circle as an ellipse. But here's the thing, before you guys put your pen on the paper, I'm deliberately leaving the bottom bit of it with a gap in the middle, okay? So I'm not joining him up. I'd like you guys to do that now. Start drawing all the way over the top and then stop there, and that leaves a space in the middle. The reason that's important is because we're going to need it in a second for our UFO tractor beam that's going to take a sheep off into the distance, okay? So if you guys can do that, make sure you leave that little space. If you forget to, it's not the end of the world. It's just a cool little effect. And then we're going to make it look like this spaceship has got a bit of depth to it. We put two tiny little vertical lines that go straight up. We do those. And then, just as we did this curve, we need to do another one on top to join them up. And that's going to give us the effect of a thick, solid object like a disc that's got a bit of substance to it. We're then, equally distant on either side, going to come in a little bit. Not like right to the middle, about a quarter of the way in. We're then going to draw two more little lines, both going up. And we're going to do another curve. It wants to follow the same sort of curve as the one below. Okay. And we're starting to build our spaceship here. This bottom bit is going to be the bit that's powering it and making it fly up. The top bit is going to be the bit where the aliens live. Okay. And then the top is actually quite easy, to be honest with you. All it is a semicircle which is going to be the dome, and that's what the aliens look out of. So I'm not going to go right to the edge. You could do if you wanted to, but I like to just give it a little bit of a, what we'd call a lip. So I'm going to draw a semicircle like that. Whee! Boing. And I'm going to give my spaceship some antennas as well. You can do this in one of a couple of ways. You can put tiny little semicircles on the side. And then, like an old-fashioned TV aerial, because I'm sure there'll be a few mums and dads that are old enough to remember these, you basically want to make it look a little bit wonky. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Whee! Okay. And that now looks like an old-fashioned alien spaceship that's got a wonky aerial because he's that old. We're going to add some little details to make him appear to be a bit more believable. Those of you that have done my sessions before will remember, for instance, I like to put some things on to make it look 3D by doing, say, an object in the middle of a curve. So here, I'm going to put smack bang in the middle, I'm going to put a little circle there. That's in a little bit where the aliens will be sitting. My aliens are going to have their heads poking out here through the little glass screen. And then when we do the rest of them, we don't spread them out evenly. Instead, I'm going to put the next one much closer towards the side. Like that. And then the next one after it, it's going to be an ellipse like we did with our craters. Ditto over here. Sorry, ditto means the same, by the way, guys. I'm going to do over here, a round circle, and over here, a tall, thin one. Okay? And that has the effect of making it look like you've got a bit of 3D going on with your little circles going on. Now, those are going to be flashing lights, so you guys will be able to colour them in whatever colour you like. But we need to make sure... we need to make sure that we don't just have flashing lights, we actually have a way of getting around. And there's a couple of ways that spaceships do that. One is to have boosters at the back, and to be honest, I quite like the boosters. That's one of my favourite things to draw. They also have little anti-gravity beams that help push them up into the sky. Now, the boosters are dead easy. What we do is, off here, off the side of our biggest disc, we draw two little lines that are getting further and further away from ourselves, from each other. Then we put in a curve to join them up. And then you can add a couple more of these if you want by adding them underneath. Like there's more and more exhausts firing us along. The little anti-gravity discs that I mentioned, those, I'm going to use my fine liner just so it's nice and delicate. Those go either side over here. And they want to be squashed ellipses too, because we're looking up underneath our spaceship. And not in the middle, not like right where we've got this gap, but higher up, closer towards the line that the very first one that we drew. Up here, we're going to put another thin one, okay? And again, it makes it look, if you make it nice and thin, makes it look like we're looking up at our spaceship. Now then, our alien spaceship at the minute doesn't have any way to stop it falling out of the sky, so we're going to need to sort that out. The way we're going to sort that out, chaps, is by adding, and this is my favourite bit of doing all of our rockets. My favourite bit is doing the jet trails afterwards. So here we go. You can use this for anything. If you've got a guy who's flying a jetpack, if you've got an aeroplane, if you've got a rocket, alien spaceship, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's always the same way of doing these things. So what you do is start off, and it's almost symmetrical. We do a little blast going almost perfectly straight upwards, but it's a wiggly line. And then downwards, same thing. It doesn't want to be like bigger than our spaceship. That wouldn't look right. But it does want to be wiggly and waggly, like a bit jagged, because that's what the fire is going to look like coming out the back of our spaceship. We're then going to go back, not all the way to the middle, but a little bit closer to home. So a little bit closer to the middle. And then diagonally, like it's shooting out of the jets, we're going to do another zigzag. So it's kind of like, almost like there's a starfish growing out the back of our rocket. And you don't stop, you don't just make it into a starfish. Instead, he's going to need to have a trail. And the trail is a tricky one, okay? Again, there's no hard and fast rule, so it means that you guys can do this kind of how you want. You can see on the previous one I've done here, what we've got is something that starts wiggling and waggling up and down a bit. The more you practice at this, the better you get at it. So don't worry if you have a go today and you think it doesn't look quite right. It's not the end of the world. What I like to do is have it so that occasionally it gets a bit fatter, occasionally it gets a bit thinner, and you can even have it, say, zigzagging behind your moon. But if you're going to do that, it needs to get nice and thin, so it looks like he's blasted off from behind it, and then you could have it continuing on over here, and it's a zigzag effect. You could have it getting bigger again, like he was closer. So it looks like he started off close, really close to us, whoa, and then he zoomed away, went behind the moon, and then came back towards us and got big again. Okay, so almost done. The one thing I'd say though is to make it look extra believable is that it doesn't hurt at all to put in here. And a fleck is just like a tiny little bit like that. It's like a flame all on its own. You don't want to put loads of them in. I usually limit myself to doing 3. So have a look where you could put them. Sometimes nice to put one right near the boosters and then another one a little bit further along. And then somewhere over here, you could almost have it like a little, I said it like a starfish. You could almost have an extra little bit of the starfish tentacle there that's been cut off. And that will make it look like it's shooting fire out of the back of it. Okay, looking pretty good. The only other 2 things that we're missing now are the aliens in the top and then the sheep that we're abducting with our little tractor beam at the bottom. Okay. Now, you can, as I have said to you before, and if you want to do so, you can you know, go back and look at it. We have an entire 45-minute long video last week on how to draw aliens. You could put one of these aliens into, woo, look at that. We could put that alien into our spaceship, not a problem. A couple of guys have said that it keeps cutting out. Don't worry, if that's the case, you can always watch this video again straight afterwards. It will be going onto my Facebook page where you guys can watch it to your heart's content without it hopefully cutting out. We're now going to do the little tractor beam, and we're going to put our alien in as well. So the way that I do my tractor beams is by putting a semicircle that's a squished semicircle, so it's an ellipse one, but it's going to be the same width as this. It's going to be a little bit higher up, sort of in the middle. There we go. And then I like to use a real fine liner for this, because if it's a beam of light that's pulling them up, it shouldn't be a big, thick, fat thing. It should instead be a thin line like that. Okay. You can make it look like the line is going away to nothing by dotting it so it then disappears. You can see there it almost looks like the line isn't quite there anymore. Okay. We need a sheep to get abducted as well. I love drawing sheep because they're so easy to do. They're a piece of cake. I might do a session one day on farmyard animals too. But have a sheep free on me. Okay. You can draw this one without too much hassle. Sheep are very easy because what you do is you leave a little space here for their head. But watch this. We just go little boop, 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 boop. Okay? And all these little shapes that we do, so long as we leave a space for them, that will look like the little fur on the sheep. We can then put his little head in there, which I always just do as sort of a squished circle. Put 2 little eyes. And this sheep is going to be floating around upside down. So I'm going to put his ears on the top of his head, wibbling and wobbling off. Okay, we want it to look like he's moving, so his ears are going to be leaning towards the direction they've come from. I'm going to colour them in too, but for his head, and I'm cheating here, I'm going to jump in and quickly grab a pencil. I'm just going to shade that in grey so that we can still see where our little eyes are. If you coloured them in black, you wouldn't be able to see where the eyes were. So there you go. We're going to give him some legs. He wants to be flailing his little legs a bit helplessly, like he can't quite do anything about it. So a little bent leg there at the front. That's front leg number 1. Maybe another little bent leg there at the front for leg number 2. And his hooves. Do sheep have hooves? I think they do. Maybe somebody who knows about farms and farm animals can tell me. I think they have. Do they have hooves? Yeah, I don't know. And then maybe a longer, straighter leg there like that, like he doesn't quite know what he's doing. And then maybe another really bent round leg there, like he's flailing his legs and wiggling and waggling them. Okay. Hi there, Charlie and Finn. Good to see you guys again. Now then, to make it look extra believable, and this is a super duper trick, we want to make it look like he's moving through space. And at the minute, we've got his ears, which are suggesting that they're blowing in, you know, the wind behind him like that, and it's all going that way. But there's an extra trick you can do too. And this is something I love. This is called Implied Movement. I'm going to get my little fine liner out again, but it doesn't matter if you've only got one pen or pencil, that's not a problem. What we're going to do is add a couple of little, they almost look like fangs actually when you do them. A couple of little lines like this, and this is the grass that he's chewing. So I'm just going to wiggle and waggle them there. There we go. And we've got those. It looks like he's chewing on them. You can even add a little sort of dark semicircle there for his mouth if you want to make it look like he's chewing. And then this is the trick. And you can do this if you're drawing a train that's zooming along or a car that's going super fast. You know, anything where it looks like something is moving at speed. What I'm going to do is behind him, just by where his ear is pretty much, I'm going to put a little bit of grass that he's been chewing on that's fallen out of his mouth. And then I'm going to move along and down. I'm going to put another bit. And all these are is just very simple little curvy shapes that join up. But what happens is it makes it look like when our sheep has dropped these items, he's dropped them as he's going along. And it implies that the spaceship is moving along at speed, and each of these little bits got dropped. That one got first, so it's falling closer to the ground, then that one, and then he's only just dropped that one, which is why it's higher up. This little technique is so useful. You can use it, say, if you're drawing a guy on a train, you could draw his hat flying off like this behind him to make it look like he's zooming along. Or if somebody was holding a pack of crisps or something like that on a car and they've spilled them, all of these would be disappearing off in the same way. It's a really cool trick, guys, so have a go at doing that. Our spaceship's looking nifty. The only thing that's missing... Whoa, dropped my pen. The only thing that's missing is an alien. So let's see about popping him in there. A very quick and easy one to do is to do almost a perfect semicircle, but we leave a space at the top. And we can then put a little antenna. And that's two curvy lines going up like this. And on top of this one, we're going to give him a big eye. Okay? So here he is. And he's looking down at his control panel. Okay? You can put some shading on the control panel like that to show that it's meant to be metal. And you could even just give him a cheeky little smile that we can see there, so he looks happy. He's really pleased that he's managed to steal himself a sheep. A couple of other things that you can do if you want to. We looked at robots in our very first week. You can make it look like, you know, there's a grabbing arm sticking out of it or something, which we've already touched on. If you haven't watched our robot tutorial, that was the first one I did, you can go back and watch it. Or you can put a couple of lights on or something too. What I'm going to do, rather than go over all the tricks that we used on the robots, I'm just going to show you again very quickly how to do some shading to make it look 3D. I'm going to start off with a vertical line there, and then I'm going to spread the next lines out. If you want to do this too, you can do. The idea is that they get closer and closer together as you get nearer to the edge of your spaceship. Okay, so again, I'll show you there. They're getting closer and closer together like that. Okay, and it makes it look 3D. Right, I think we're doing pretty well here, guys. Got a moon, got a rocket flying behind it. Hi there, Dylan. Hi, Riley from Harlow. Glad you gave the sheep grass. Yeah, well, he needs to be hungry, even if he needs to be fed, even if he's in outer space. We can't leave him hungry, can we? What we will do now, chaps, is see about adding a planet, and then we've got about 15 minutes left to add an astronaut. Now, at the very start of the session, I said to you, ask your mum and dad if you can go and if you can ask them to go and get you a nice round bowl. If you haven't done that, go and do it now and say, Mum, I'm an artist. I need these. Okay, you have to do that with your hands when you're asking too. That's the rules. Okay, and the reason it's so useful is the same thing as when we did our moon. You're going to use it to just trace a very gentle shape around. Okay, I'm going to do it so that there's only a little bit of the moon, sorry, our planet on show. It's not going to be the entire thing because we haven't got enough space on this page. Instead, we're going to do it like this. And again, you might think, oh, I know how to draw planets. I've done loads before. Yeah, well, this is a super duper professional way of doing them. Okay, there's special tricks that I can show you that make them look super duper. Oh, we've got somebody there called Robin who wants to study stars when he grows up like an astronomer. That'd be fantastic. I love stars. I love looking at them. I'll also show you how to draw a couple of those too, actually, for good measure. Now, here's the trick. I've given myself a little guide here, just in pencil, and you guys can do the same, something really light that you can then go over later. Watch this. I'm going to do I'm not going to go all the way over this line like we did with the moon. Instead, I'm going to go along a little bit, and then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to leave a little gap and do a bit more line, and then I'm going to stop. And I'm doing, there's 3 lines there, okay? You could do more if you wanted to, or fewer, but try and spread them out evenly and leave decent sized gaps in between. And here's the reason why. We're going to make it look like this is a planet that has got oceans and water and then little islands on top. And this is one of my favourite drawings that I've ever done. Okay, this one is called Unspoken Words. For the mums and dads, this is something like you've probably experienced before when you're trying to talk to someone but it feels like they're on another planet. But in the case of these 2 people, they literally are. And they're sat on different planets. And you can see there, the sea is lower than the land. And that is the effect that we are doing. Just so you know, if you do want to get one of these little prints, you can do. These are available on www.shortandsmiley.com. And this one is really nice because you can have it either way up. So you could have it the way up where you can see the little dude, or you can have it the way up where you can see it from the woman's point of view. Also, and I'll do something on this in future too, the little moths here, they've actually got a message written in Morse code on the wings, and it says, "And I love you, and I miss you." And so whichever way you put it up, they love each other. They're just on different planets. One with a hedgehog and one with a snail. Anyway, right. We're doing those kind of planets. So in order to do it successfully, we need to give it a little bit of a raised edge here. And I'm going to do these bits first. So I'm raising it up a bit, not loads. And I'm not going to make it perfect. I'm not going to join it up yet. I'm going to leave space where we can put a couple of little space aliens if we want to, okay? So I'm just putting, they're not perfectly straight lines. They sort of curve off a bit. But you can see here, the idea would be that it would be a line that sits above the little pencil line that we did to begin with, okay? And then, here we go. To do our land and make it look believable, we don't draw straight lines. Instead, we have it a bit like when we did the moon, a bit wiggly and waggly, going all the way across like that. Wiggling and waggling and going across. Then same over here. We can have it getting closer and then further away. And then ditto over here. We can put in some land that maybe gets a bit closer to the other land, and then it's going to sneak away. You can even add a little island if you want to. I'm just going to make those lines a little bit darker there, a bit thicker. You can even add a little island like that, okay? And this is going to give us that effect of having a planet. Super duper quick alien that we can do just to sort of give ourselves something there to begin with. We can do a little furry alien. We've done one similar to this in previous weeks. All it is just a set of furry faint lines that go out from the centre and then a big eye on top. Okay? That one's falling asleep. He's got his eye half closed. Could do him with a happy smile, like he's enjoying watching things. Okay? Give him a couple of feet too. And because this is a planet, the other one, he's going to be sat, and it's going to look like he is on a bit more of an angle. But of course, because he's on a planet, gravity is going to be pulling him towards the centre of the planet. So he's not going to fall off. He's looking up at his sheep that's just been stolen. We're maybe going to make him a bit more distressed about that by giving him a little wiggly woggly mouth. We looked at mouths in week 1 and week 2. Again, if you want to see how to make people look distressed, you can look at the Princesses and Castles video that we've done, or you can look at the other videos that we've done as well on robots and on aliens. Okay, so we've now got a planet there. Again, it's great fun to colour these in. Something like, you know, maybe a dark brown or a dark green for the Earth, and then a blue for the ocean. That's always fun. Might put in an extra little thing there. And actually, as well, you could always stick a little shark's fin on the edge of your planet too, as well, like he's coming along to sneak up on these guys and eat them. You can do all that kind of stuff as well. We're going to add in a Spaceman, because I promised you guys Spacemen too, and then we'll have a look at some stars, because I know that a couple of you guys said you like stars. I think it was it Robin who said he wants to study stars when he grows up? I'll show you the nifty trick, the professional trick for making stars look good. I've got a couple of guys saying about next week. Well, hey, next week we're going to be doing pirates. I've already promised somebody that one, so we're going to be doing pirates. And we're going to do a Spaceman now. I have got just enough space for a Spaceman down here. If you don't have enough space, that's cool. You can always do your Spaceman on another piece of paper. That's not a problem. So, our Spaceman, I'm going to have him floating in space. He's going to look a little bit like this dude, but he's going to be facing the other way. He's going to be floating in space. We're going to give him a ray gun. We're going to give him a helmet. We're going to give him a little backpack and things too, and some moon boots. And I'll show you how to do that now. Okay? The first thing we need to do is do the little curve that's going to be for his face. Now, if we do this, you have to make sure you leave enough space to then put his helmet on over the top. So I'm going to do his little curve for his face here. And what I do is I start up here. This is going to be where his eyes go. And it's kind of like, it's not quite a semicircle. Okay? And what it does is it leaves us space here to put his two eyes in, like he's staring at the sheep that's just been stolen. And then, rather than complete this up, that would give him a bald head, instead, we're going to give him some hair. And so, what I always have to do, and I'll explain this to you, I always imagine where the rest of his head would go. I'm just doing a dotted line to show you. Okay? I think, right, if that's his head, his hair... can you guys see that okay? Yeah, you can, good. I always imagine where his hair is going to go. So I've got my little curve there for his chin. I then do a little flick at the back here, for where his the crown of his head is with his little pointy up hair, because even astronauts get bed head. And then, bigger than the shape of his head, so a little bit more wide than that, I like to do a big curve that comes down across the front like this, goes past his eyes, and it needs to have, near the back of his, where his chin is, we need to give him a little ear, and we need to give him there a little bit of hair at the back too. Okay. You could obviously, if you did our princesses session the other week, you could make her into a girl. Not a problem at all. We'll make this guy look a little bit alarmed, like he's like, oh no, a sheep. So we're going to give him a round mouth like that going, ooh, oh no. Okay. Now this entire head is going to go into a Spaceman space helmet. And what I like to do is right at the bottom in the middle of his chin. Oh no. Technical difficulties there, guys. I do apologise. What I like to do is to do a circle that goes all the way around. So it's not a perfect circle, it's more a squished one. But it goes up, round, and then comes back down and joins up right at his chin. Okay? And that is his space helmet. Now he's going to need to have some oxygen going into his space helmet. So at the back, I like to put in a little sort of semicircle. And that's going to be where the valve is that gives him oxygen to breathe. So it's really important we don't forget that bit. Let's make that a bit thicker. We're also going to give him a little body here. He's going to need that. And he's going to need a Spaceman space gun as well. So he can shoot bad guys and nasty aliens. But more importantly, he's going to need to be able to control his spacesuit. So rather than the other week when we did our knights in shining armor and they just had, you know, a nice round body, I do just under the chin a little line that comes down like this, and then we draw a square box. And the square box doesn't want to be too big. It's going to be around about the same, not quite the size of his face. It's a similar sort of height, and not in the middle, but to one side we're going to draw a line that goes down like that. Okay, so that little box is going to be his control panel. And from this, he can regulate the temperature of his spacesuit. He's got a little speaker, so he can communicate with people. And if you've got the space to do 2 or 3 buttons, go for it. If you've only got the space for 1 or 2, like me, just put 1 or 2 on. And you can make it look like it's a speaker there by putting a couple of diagonal lines on, going one way. Again, I'm using a fine liner because I like to switch between a big fat chunky pen and a thin one. And then some lines going the other way, and that will make it look like he's got a speaker there too. Okay. So that's our little Spaceman control panel on his suit, but we also need to give this guy a gun too. I always like with my spacemen to give them it so they're pointing at something. I'm going to have him pointing it over here at the alien and the planet over there. So to do that, right, just watch this bit. I'm trying to think how best to describe it without it being a problem. I'm not going to draw a perfect circle. Instead, it's going to be taller than it is wide. Okay, so it's a squished circle, really. And this is going to be his hand. He's going to be holding a gun like this. It's going to be his 4 fingers in a big glove. And we're going to do an extra little circle for his thumb. And the thumb is going to go up here like that. Okay? They're not quite touching, and the reason is he needs to have space to be holding his gun. The gun itself, we're going to draw that here. And it's going to be, because he's living in Spaceman times, it's not going to be an actual gun like you get on planet Earth. It's going to be almost like more like a banana, really, more than anything. And on the end of it, we're going to put 2 very small straight lines. We're then going to do, and again, watch this carefully. Don't do it as I do it. Just watch it and do it afterwards. It's not going to be quite a semicircle. It's squidged, but we're also, like we did up here with our spaceship, we're leaving a little gap. And then we're going to do another one. But this time that joins up. Look, it covers that bit up. And again, we've left a gap. And then finally, we need to put in the little bit of our ray gun that's actually going to do the zapping. And to do that, we need to draw a little curve there. And we're going to draw our straight lines away from the gun. And there he is. Okay. You can make it look even more like a Spaceman gun by adding a couple of little dials and buttons and things. So we can put, if you'd like, a little circular button on there and on there. And you can even add, if you want to, what we'd call a little telescopic scope. So that is a horizontal line with a circle on top at the one side. And then we draw another horizontal line. Add a little curve on that side. Okay, that's what we'd call a scope. So now he's got his gun, we need to draw the rest of his body. Right, guys, his line, his arm is going to be a straight line. Do apologise for my little bits of forgetfulness where I end up using the wrong word. I've got a lovely, lovely baby son who wakes me up at 5:30 almost every morning, and my brain isn't quite what it used to be. Okay. Now, this fella is going to have a nice long arm like that, and he's going to need to have a big round circle at the end of it that is going to be his glove. Okay? And to make it look like he's got a hand, I'm going to have that line there, just keep going. And I'm going to have a little bump there that's his thumb. We can make it look like a glove as well by adding a sort of pretty much halfway up his arm. We can add a little curved line like that, and it makes it look like he's got that little curve. Just makes it again look a bit more 3D. So you curve it down towards the hand. That makes it look like he's got a hand with a glove on. I love to do these guys like they're floating around in space. So I give them a nice round tummy. So it's kind of like a semicircle at the bottom of his body. Ooh. And then his feet are going to be floating behind his body. So another semicircle there. That's at the back of his body. That's getting covered up by his hand. And then another one there. But because he's in space and he's going to be landing on moons and stomping around, we need to give the bottom of his boots some extra grip. And we do that by doing a bunch of dinky little semicircles all next to each other. Woo, 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 like that. And he's still not able to breathe, so we probably should sort that out. Otherwise it's quite unfair on him. We have to put a backpack on. And to do that, we can draw a straight line level with his arm. And then you can bring it back in with a nice straight shape, straight line. And then we're going to join up our helmet and the little valve that we put on there. We're going to join that up with a curvy line. That's something like that. Okay. I've got, because I'm using a brush tip pen, I've got a little bit of a, there we go. There we go, just thicken that out. And you can add some extra details if you want to. We can add some little curves, and the trick is to make them like the letter C. Okay, if you do it like the letter C rather than doing a straight line here, it makes it look like this little pipe is 3D. So you don't do a straight line, you do it like that. And there we have a spaceman. He does want to be on a spacewalk, so the very final thing we're going to do is add another little line coming out the bottom of his back jetpack and going off the side of our page. I'll do a little valve there like that. And this one, doesn't matter how long it is to get to the edge of your page, it's not a problem. You just keep doing a curvy, wavy line like that, and then put another friendly, curvy, wavy line right next to him that follows really along precisely. And then you've got, woo, super duper. More little letters C. Can be facing forwards or facing backwards, doesn't matter, but it'll just make it look that a little bit more believable. And there we go, guys. We've done a bunch of things on our page today. We have created some fantastic planets. Oh, I forgot the stars. I won't forget those. I'll do them just before we go. How to do them professionally. We've got our spaceship. We've got our planets with our aliens on, and our spaceman, and a sheep for good measure. But here's the trick for stars, okay? If you want to make some stars look really cool, rather than trying to draw them, it's so tricky, isn't it? What tends to happen when you start drawing a star is you go, right, okay, so pointy, yes, up and down, good so far. Then a bit to one side. And then, oh my goodness, it's all going wrong. Oh no! Oh, I was a fool. I dared to dream I could draw stars and it went wrong. Okay, that's really common. Don't worry. Everybody goes through that. So here's the trick. Use a pencil. If you don't have a pencil now and you've only got a pen, don't try doing this. Just watch and then have a go at it afterwards. What we need to do, really roughly, is to try drawing something called a pentagram. Now, a pentagram is like a square, but it's got 5 sides. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Look, even mine there is not perfect, okay? But so long as it's there or thereabouts, so long as it's got 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so long as it's there or thereabouts, that is all you really need. And watch this for a nifty trick. See the top point there? All I'm going to do is draw a line down to the other points that it's not touching. Okay, it's already connected up to this point here. It's already connected up to that point there. But I'm going to join this point up by doing that and that. Now I'm going to go to this point here and say, you're not joined up to anything. So I'm going to join you up. Oh, well, you joined up to that one. But I'm going to join you up to the other one that's opposite. Then I'm going to go to this one here and say, you're not joined up over here. So all you're doing is looking to see if there's any points that it's not connected to. And then ditto for that one there. Now, when you join all of those lines up on your pentagram, you end up with something that looks a lot like a star. And this is where you can go over it in pen. And if you've got some sides that are a little bit too long or too short, you can correct that as you go. I tried to do it so that we don't have to have guidelines when we're drawing things. But this is one of the few instances where I think it really does make a nice difference to actually be able to do that. So I'll do that one more time. You see there, we're just joining up the points on our pentagram. And then we're just going to trace the bits that give us some nice floaty stars. There's one more cool planet that takes about 10 seconds to do that I'll show you as well. And that's always a nifty thing to be able to show people. Okay, there we go. That's how we've got stars now. You can then use your rubber to tidy that up and everything. The final kind of planet that I'm going to show you how to do, and I love doing these ones, so I'll show you this as well, and then I will have to disappear, boys and girls. Very, very easy and very, very quick. All you do is draw a semicircle. Now, you could do it perfectly horizontally like this, but I always like to put my planets on a bit of an angle. So I'm going to do a semicircle, and the semicircle is going to be on an angle, but there you go. It's kind of like the letter C, isn't it? Okay. Now, what we're going to do is put rings around our planet, and this is why it's so much fun. Behind our little semicircle we've drawn, not halfway up, lower than that, we're going to do a shape that is goes out and then shoots back around like that. Okay. That is the first bit of our ring. We're then going to make it look like it's a really thick set of rings by doing it with an extra big curve going out and joining back around. So watch this. We've done our first set of our first ring, but our next one is going to go right out. It's going to keep going further away. That's super important. And then it's going to come back round. Then it's going to go further out and join back up. Okay. The really important bit is that you go extra wide here. So it starts off these two lines really close together, but this second one gets super duper wide. And then underneath, oh, pardon me. Whoa. It won't be a full semicircle because we've not got the space, but there you go. You just do the little curve that will join it back up. Okay. You can then colour that to your heart's content. A nifty thing for doing this kind of planet, by the way, the one we've just done, is to actually get yourself your felt tips. And just as we said the other week about doing the little alien circles to make it look like it's 3D, you can do the exact same thing here. So I won't colour everything in today. Just colour this bit in. You can put these little curves in like this. And it'll make him look like he's a planet that has got a gas giant, kind of like Jupiter or Saturn. And I'm just putting a few different colours in here. And now he looks like a planet that's got some 3D to him. Right, guys, we are now on 21 minutes past 2, so I've treated you to an extra 6 minutes for free. Guys, that is our session today. But before you go, I want to see the very, very best astronauts, spaceships and planets you can do. That is just a guide. You could make a super duper multi-story spaceship that is stacked up on top of itself many times over, that goes higher and higher and higher. It doesn't just have to have 2 circles. You could do a planet that doesn't just have 2 islands on it. You could do more than that. You could put all your space aliens from last week on. You could give yourself tons of different moons, and you could have astronauts having space fights in outer space, blasting each other with fire and things like that. But all I ask is, if you do that, put it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram with the hashtag #DrawWithAndy. If you do that, then I will be choosing somebody's artwork ahead of next week and saying they have won a free copy of my award-winning picture book, I Have an Orange Juicy Drink. And if you want to read it because you're of the right sort of age, if you're anyone from the age of about, say, 6 and under will quite enjoy this one, then you can do. It's all about people being naughty and getting squished with large, heavy objects, like that cheeky alien there. Alien tries to steal a juicy drink, so he gets squished with a shed. Similarly, by the way, if a Tyrannosaurus Rex tries to steal your juicy drink, it's very, very important that you squish him with something big and substantial. Oh, look, a moon. We've just learned how to draw one of those today. If you want to get those, by the way, they are available from my website. You can get them. But like I say, enter for free. Show me your fantastic artwork, and I will pick one person who has done the best artwork, and I will send them through a free copy of my book. I am aware, by the way, the guys that entered last week, I have got my winners shortlisted, and I'm going to be contacting their mums and dads today to let them know who's won. Follow me on Facebook if you don't already, facebook.com/short and smiley to see all the wonderful stuff we do. Twitter is short and smiley, and Instagram is short_and_smiley too. Thank you very, very much, guys. I very much enjoyed this. It's been great fun. I will see you all next week, all being well, where we'll be looking at doing pirate ships on the high seas. Okay, thank you very much. All the best. Bye-bye.